What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of you for Vinland Saga Season 2. This is episode 14, and with me, as always, I have Blue Spade.
So we pick up after the events of the last episode, in which we see the character Gardar asking his wife Arnheid to come back with him, supposedly along with their son. But she reveals that she reveals that their son apparently is not with them anymore. And of course, she reveals this a little bit later. But of course, Gardar is of course confronted by Snake. What was it? And his two subordinates. I think one of them was Fox. And of course, Snake confronts Gardar alone, and he of course is able to knock Gardar unconscious for him to be taken alive, or apparently being taken prisoner somewhere. And this, of course, traumatizes Arnheid to a certain extent, and also conflicts Einar to the point where he really wanted to help Gardar and free Arnheid at the same time. But of course, Thorfinn pretty much stops him from doing so. And of course, Snake warns both Einar and Thorfinn that they'll get in trouble if they get themselves involved.
Yeah, Thorfinn mostly stops Einar because he knows what it's like to kill, and he knows what effect I guess it has on you, and he asks Einar if he's prepared to kill somebody, which Einar thinks twice about and hesitates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like Arnheid was mostly shocked just from seeing Gardar again. She most likely thought he was probably dead. So to see her husband like that again probably is like just completely a complete shock to her system, and you can tell like she's just trying to process what's happening.
Yeah, and of course later in the day, Einar of course gets a little bit antsy about what really happened, and later decides he wants to go out and rescue Gardar. But of course Arnheid tells him to just sit down and not get himself involved. And then, of course, Arnheid decides to tell their backstory of what happened to them. So apparently, back
before
then,
she does as well too, she kind of has a pretty big reveal that she's actually pregnant with Kettle's child.
Yeah,
which I mean, nobody should really be surprised by that, considering what we saw in one of the previous episodes. Although there is something that I must have forgotten about that was kind of, well, not really cut from that episode, but it was, I guess, censored, because it's a lot more obvious in the manga, because in that scene in the manga, the Arnheid's actually topless, whereas in the anime, they decided to, I guess they didn't do that. So, yeah, I feel like if they had kept that in, it would be a lot more obvious as to what's going on there. But I think you could still imply that's probably what their relationship was.
I mean, unless Mappa decides to change that scene in
well, technically it's not. Technically it's not really Mappa. It still is. I would say it's still Studio Wit. It's just because it's the exact same team that did season 1. It's just that they got transferred to Mappa or something like that. But it's like the same people working on it.
Yeah, but of course, if you ignore the whole Mappa intro in each episode,
yeah, it does get a little bit confusing because of that.
Yeah, but yeah, so we do get a flashback of what Gardar and Arnheid's past is like. Apparently, they were also both farmers living in a village, and of course, Gardar decides to go out to apparently like. They said something about like
they were fighting over iron deposits in the lake.
Yeah, and so Gardar and the other village men decide to head out and fight over these bodies of iron. But of course, Arnheid tries to talk him out of it. But Gardar continually insists that they need this iron in order for them to, I guess, lead better lives for themselves. So with Gardar and the village men all gone, the village is left defenseless to the Vikings, who decide to pretty much raid the entire village and apparently kidnap or or kill the women and children left in the village. Not to mention that Arnheid's son also gets abducted, so we don't really get to see what happened to the poor kid. Uh,
And if you
so
remember too, that's one of the first things that Gardar asks about is their son, saying like, "Oh, he must be so big by now." And of course, he's not with Arnheid, so we don't really know where their son is or if their son is still alive. Um, so I'm kind of wondering if that will be something that comes up later, like maybe their son will show up or for whatever reason.
yeah, so like you said, that she is pregnant with Kettle's child, and of course, her reasons that it would supposedly provide her with some security of sort, because I guess if she has Kettle's child, then she'll be left better protected with Kettle. Of course, unless she once Kettle and the others come back before Canute does, but uh, they'll probably get to that later. So later that night, I guess she decides to go out on her own to try to help Gardar in a way, but Sverkel overhears the entire story and decides to tell her about the time that what was it about his decision to wait out the storm in his own life, which I guess this left him emotionally scarred as well. I guess it was talking about about Kettle falling in love with another woman, but this woman apparently, I guess, got an arranged marriage by this other nobleman somewhere, and he could have stopped it, but decided not to. And apparently led to this woman getting killed in like some kind of Viking raid, which of course leads to Sverkel, regretting that decision to not do anything.
Yeah. So, yes, Sverkel in his own way is trying to give her some words of wisdom, I suppose, or try to help her make a decision as to what she should do. And she's standing at the door the whole time, about to thinking of leaving, and then she eventually makes the decision to leave, saying she's going to be back later, which kind of concerns me, because that seems like it almost might be a death flag for her, just saying that she's going to be back. But she leaves, and we see her kind of walk across the field, and that's pretty much where the episode ends. I really liked how this episode was pretty heavily focused on Arnheid and Gardar, especially since we don't really know much of anything about Gardar. And it was just revealed in the last episode that that Gardar was her husband. And then we finally get to know a little bit more about Arnheid as well. So not a lot of focus on Thorfinn or Einar in this episode, just mostly about Arnheid and her past, which was pretty interesting though. I thought it was just really kind of tragic, like her backstory, and it also probably is going to tie into whatever Einar and Thorfinn end up doing as well, if they're going to decide to help her or not, or just stay out of it, which I'm pretty sure they're probably going to help her out once they find out she's, what she's probably planning to do, or, maybe she tries to do this on her own at first, tries to free Gardar by herself or help him in some way. And of course, I don't think she's really going to be able to without the assistance of Einar and Thorfinn.
Yeah. I mean, apparently, based on the preview for the next episode, that's pretty much what they're going to end up doing, is helping Arnheid out. But of course, that's before the coming storm with Canute's army on his way, whenever that's going to end up being. But as for right now, we're going to have to deal with the whole situation with Gardar first.
Yeah. But I thought this was a really good episode. It was just because, like I mentioned before, I like that they gave us a lot more about Arnheid's character, because there is some things that we've known about her before this, but we don't really know how the specifics of how she got there. Why exactly she or well, I guess also the specifics really of her relationship with Kettle, even though a lot could be implied from what we've already seen. But I like that about this episode, that it really kind of sets up, and it also sets up this potential conflict, I guess, with what's going to happen with Einar and Thorfinn. If they decide to help out Arnheid, they'd pretty much be going against Snake and the rest of his group, who are going to probably try to execute Gardar.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see where that goes from here. But yeah, overall, it was a good episode. I really did like that we got to see Arnheid's backstory for the first time, and of course, I guess in a way, like, what's gonna happen to her, considering that she is also pregnant with Kettle's child.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't really have too much else to say about the episode. I don't know if you have anything else to say about it.
Yeah, it was good continuation from the last episode. I'm assuming that hopefully the next episode will likely be a resolution to the whole Gardar situation before we head into the whole situation with Canute, who is apparently about to raid the entire farmland. That's until not before Kettle gets there first.
Yeah, I almost feel like that's going to be like the climax of this season, when Canute ends up raiding the farm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, guys, that all being said, until next time, we will see you all later.